Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate the dedication and commitment to the citizens that make up the great state of Maryland. We are here at the state Board of elections meeting for October 23rd, beginning at 2:32. The chair declares the quorum is present. The regards to additions, hello, State Administrator. Regards to additions to the agenda, I would like to request to address two significant occurrences. One being-
Right.
Yeah, yes, I should.
Hey, Mr. Chair, can we carve out a little time to talk about Jake?
Yes, this is what I'm
Like,
doing now.
oh,
As
great.
an
Thank you.
addition-
Thank you.
As
I'm
an
glad. Thank you.
addition to the agenda. I have
Thank
two
you.
factors we would like, and I will definitely open to the members to provide sentiments on a congratulatory segment for our former board member, Jake Weissman, who had to resign under anonymous recognition and circumstance with regards to the state of Maryland and his service, his tremendous service to the board and to the citizens of the, again, the great state of Maryland and to the government. And so I wanted to definitely open for that first to be recognized, as well as to pay posthumous recognition to both of the state legislature that I for one served with, Delegate Charles James.
Thank you.
And so I'd like to begin in open with providing sentiments to our former member, Jake Weissman. And then I will recognize, I think Diane, we have your hand up for that, or
I can't hear you.
I was asking if you had your hand up for the open floor moment for member Weissman.
Something about Jake? Yes, I really will miss Jake. I think he worked very well with everyone, and he was very attentive to everything that we did here, and I really enjoyed working with him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Vice Chair.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really will miss Jake. When I first came on the board, he was very welcoming, answered all my questions, just with open arms, welcomed me to the board, and throughout my tenure, he's always been there when I had questions about the board. I found him to be accessible, knowledgeable, always pleasant, always had a big smile. And I just sensed that everything he did on the board was because of his true motivation to make every voter have a safe and fair election. And his dedication was tremendous. There's a word in Yiddish called mensch. He is and was a true mensch, which is a good guy, both professionally and personally. He will be missed, but congratulations to him. He's going to be the budget secretary for the state of Maryland. I think the governor made a great appointment. I wish him all the best to him and his family. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Member Jackson Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too like to echo the sentiments of congratulatory note to Jake. I too, like Vice Chair, was very new to the board, and Jake was phenomenal as he offered his support. I didn't have a lot of questions because I'm more of a listener before I speak, so I learned a lot from just listening. And he was a wealth of information that really helped me understand my role. I'm not a novice to this world we call elections and all, but the fact that he was able to break it down almost like elections for dummies. That's how I felt in the beginning. I don't feel as dumb now, thanks to Jake and the rest of you, of course. But since we're talking about Jake, he will indeed be missed. a wonderful member of the board. And as Vice Chair said, there was no question that he wasn't willing to answer for me. I had to look forward to learning more from him. But I think I'll be okay because of his influence in how I was able to grow with this commission or with this board. So congratulations. I called him, actually, point of personal privilege, not very long. Somehow I have a friend who's a friend of Jake's, and I saw it on Facebook. It's like, what? I hadn't heard this. The state administrator nor the chair, no one called me. I, I'm very seldom without words. But I called him and it's like, is this true? Facebook is not always reliable. But he said, yeah, Vicky, it's true. I went, wow. And of course, I gave my congratulations then. But the fact that I got it from Facebook first, Mr. Chair, I want to point a personal privilege. I don't like surprises. Prepare me and I'm fine. But if I'm surprised, you never know what I'm going to say. But thank you all, members of the board, for keeping the momentum going. Hopefully, we'll have a good replacement or someone to continue the work here in the future. But thank you for allowing me that point of personal privilege.
You're muted.
Can't hear you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, why? I'm not
There
muted.
you go.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. I think the mic was hidden. But I do appreciate the sentiments being shared, and member Jackson Stanley duly recognized. I assume that the email went out to all as a collective for that recognition and awareness, but I apologize for that.
No apologies.
But to each of your sentiments with regards to Member Weissman, he's not far. Jake is always with us, although we will miss him, but you best believe he will be abreast of everything that's going on, and he will still be considered a valued resource because of his significant forethought and very significant, witfully speaking, hindsight as to how we make things happen in the state of Maryland. I think we are still going to be privileged with his presence in the new role, but as a valiant citizen of the state of Maryland. So as a friend to all, he will still be available for our consult. And I'll put that out there on his behalf. He may text me in a minute saying, "Excuse me, Mr. Chair," but he's not far. But again, he was a tremendous value add and will continue to be so for the citizens of the city, which we are honored to have served with and continue.
Keep fading out for some reason. Your voice keeps fading out. I'm not sure why.
This could be my service. I apologize. But can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
I won't belabor, I know we have a robust agenda, but I would be remiss if I did not take this moment on behalf of the state of Maryland and my role as chair to this august body to not recognize the service of a true statesman, because now I'm pivoting to recognition posthumously of the Honorable Delegate Charles Otto. I came in with Charles, Delegate Otto, as a freshman, and he taught me the significance of our purpose as a collective body when he pointed me to the state seal and defined to me the two symbols of fisherman and plowman, and representing plowman, and by way of the plowman, also fisherman based on location, and the significance of those for the collective good of the state. And he was a staunch advocate and representative of his constituency, but also the constituents of the state of Maryland. Being an agrarian leader, he was slow to speak, but very quick to resolve. And I recognize him for that. I appreciate his resolve in that manner. And I would like for us to honor him and his family for their sacrifice and commitment with a moment of silence. Thank you all so much. Now, as we move forward in the agenda, Chair seeks approval of our minutes for the open meeting September 25th, 2024. Is there a motion? It is so moved by the Vice Chair. Is there a second? It has been properly seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. Minutes are accepted and approved. Now for the closed meeting minutes for September 25th, 2025. Are there any questions, concerns, edits? Hearing none. Chair is open to a motion. Thank you, Member Butler, for moving. And is there a second? It's been properly seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. Closed meeting minutes have been approved unanimously. Now, moving on to number 4. Thank you for joining us, State Administrator. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we are really, really appreciative of your presence. And we are ready for your State Administration.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I echo a lot of those sentiments about Jake as well. I look forward to working with him in his new role as DBM secretary. So, he's not going to be far, and he'll still be on my speed dial for many, many issues as well. So, but we share our love of baseball and teams that wear orange. So, but I cannot wait for him to succeed in his new role, and I'm going to miss him on the board as well. Right now, just wanted to go through, I submitted the state administrator's report. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights for you, but happy to answer any of the questions. This month, I went to an election fair at Annapolis High School. It was just to help sophomores learn about voting methods, and how to vote. I just wanted to give a big thank you to Anne Arundel County Board of Elections for their assistance in setting up all the equipment there for the kids to vote. They voted on ballots that we had, like issues of like your favorite season, Olympic sport, and your favorite drink. I've been always going out and doing some outreach events throughout throughout Maryland, making sure that Marylanders are starting to get aware of the 2026 season and what they can do to help become an election judge. October, I just want to make a note of this. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we issued a press release today, or this month, sorry, informing survivors of domestic violence on how to keep their address confidential so that they can vote without endangering their safety. And just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of that, and that no one should be denied their right to vote. So, we just wanted to highlight that in this month of for awareness for domestic violence. Candidacy and Campaign Finance Division has been moving along. We've been establishing some new committees since the last report. And we have over 200, I think now probably over 225 candidates filing for the 2026 gubernatorial election. The big stuff that, of course, Member Weissman was always wanting to know about was the MD-CRIS BCDS, which is the Business Contribution Disclosure System replacement updates. The BCDS project is on track for its go live date on November 10th, which is the month in which the reports are due. MD-CRIS is now ready to go live and be implemented on Friday, December 5th. And we're, moving along. We're definitely doing some training sessions for stakeholders for both systems, and started to add save the date notices on all our web sites and our homepage as well. So this has been making sure we have a big outreach program there, and getting people aware of the switch in the system. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's exciting times in candidacy and campaign finance, with the two go live dates being ready for the 2026 election. Public financing is moving along, and it looks like it's going to be a record year for public financing, as well as the number of counties that are participating. And on the state level, we have enough funds in the state fair campaign finance fund, so that no additional funds are required from the budget. We have over $10.4 million in the fund, so we can fully fund 2 primary candidates and 1 for the general election. Enforcement actions were there. For everyone to see, the total amount collected was a little over $2,000 for the month of September. In election management and compliance, this is all basically getting in preparation for the 2026 election with our insurance policies, our SWIM sign-in procedures and policies there, which is, making sure that there are enhanced security measures for reporting and user access to the network. And then, of course, we're continuing our continuing education program with the election directors. The next one is scheduled for Halloween, October 31st. And that presentation is about safeguarding election processes in times of transition. So we are also in the process of developing some public information videos regarding the electoral process. The plan is to have these videos to be only 2 to 3 minutes in length. And, it's just kind of including the role of election pages, how to observe a canvass, acceptable practices for challengers and watchers and their roles. So that's kind of what we're doing on the public facing and outreach programs as well. In local board news, Carroll County has moved their office and warehouse, so that went very well. And Montgomery County hosted an open house and tour of its building. Again, it was a lot of interest and received a lot of positive feedback there. So, that's kind of part of the process here of making sure that the facilities of the locals are getting better across the board here. So I'm happy with both those moves there. In information systems and technologies, we are just moving along. The process is just, getting ready for the 2026 election. Information security, just basically updating all our policies and procedures there to, be on the, the cutting edge, and to, make sure that all our systems have the authority to operate. All right. And then for mail-in voting, again, we're just, making sure that we're looking at all the data and, getting ready for the 2026 election. In personnel, we're happy to share with you some news that Lexi Morgan is now going to be the communications director at SBE. This is a new role at SBE. We've never had a communications director, so it's very exciting to have that a part of this now as we move to 2026 and beyond. A couple of other news is that Patricia Jackson is retiring in Worcester County. So her position will be posted next week. Teresa Riggins is retiring as the deputy director, election director, also there. So, we're going to be monitoring that situation as well. And, basically Charles County will be having, I think they just selected their new election director in Charles County. This was done beforehand. Uh, so it was Wade Beswick is the new Charles County election director that was appointed by the board there. So this was a little bit written before that. So, we're making sure that that's all moving forward. And let me go back here. Okay. So that's in personnel management here. What is going on with my computer? In procurement, the statewide poll book modernization project is moving along, and we're looking to have that in place for BPW in December. The protest was withdrawn, so that process is now moving forward very well. We're very happy with that, moving it forward. The new voting system is been published and is on track we've received some bids and now are going to start reviewing the proposals under the technical review portion of it. On some of our recent awards that I just want to make notice is the Voting Works, which was for the risk limiting audit software and management services. And so we're in the process of getting ready for in the 2026 election, implementing risk limiting audits for the first time in the process. And that was a long time coming. I know that. In voter registration, audits, and operations, we're working on it with Eric and making sure that we're filing all the reports, to keeping our lists up to date. Amanda Reardon has joined the internal audits division and is becoming familiar with this as well. So it's great we added more people into the audit division as well. And then just a couple of stats there for what we've done with the current MD voters. We have over 4.3 million active registered voters, and here is all our transactions with motor vehicles for you. And then finally, we have no new. I did not exercise any delegated duties. So with that, I submit my report for you.
Thank you very much for that summarization. Are there any questions, Mr. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jared, as we've said publicly, we're getting a whole new voting system in Maryland. So when you say that we're getting bids and it's being reviewed, could you tell us who or what group is doing the review? In other words, who picks the ball up now in determining our next voting system?
So that is the team of subject matter experts. So it's not just the state board reviewing with staff here. It's also bringing in local boards as well to take a look at the equipment, making sure that it can handle all our processes. And then at that point there, once we start reviewing and making sure that it can handle it all, then we go through and make sure that it's a certified network or certified equipment that meets our standards under state law. And we've had 4 bids right now in the process.
Thanks, Jared. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you very much. And moving on to the Assistant Attorney General's report, Mr. Danforth.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll run through the Assistant Attorney General's report. It is not terribly exciting, although there is one update since it was written. The first case on the report, Sullivan v. Summers. I sound like a broken record at this point. Nothing has happened. Again, we wait for the court to dispose of the case as the parties have requested. There's no other work to do currently on that case. The second case, Della Rocca v. Lee, which is at the Fourth Circuit. In that case, Mr. Della Rocca, the appellant, filed his brief on October 8th, arguing his arguments in the appeal. OAG will be filing a responsive brief, or aiming to file a responsive brief, by the deadline on November 10th. I'll note that the Fourth Circuit rules allow for one brief. So one brief is going to be filed on behalf of Chair Summers, Secretary Lee, and the Postmaster General. The parties are working collaboratively so that one brief can be filed. Obviously, given the current federal governmental funding situation, we'll see if we are able to continue to work with our partners at DOJ and the U.S. Attorney's Office on filing that brief. If not, we will get a postponement of that deadline, or ask for postponement of that deadline, to make sure that one brief is filed on behalf of all three appellees. There is a similar story for cases 3 and 4 on the list. Cases 3 and 4 are actually the same case, but two permutations, one in the First Circuit, one in the Federal District Court of Massachusetts. The Federal District Court case is the lawsuit that Maryland joined as a plaintiff against the current administration regarding the executive order related to elections. The First Circuit appeal stems from the grant of a preliminary injunction, putting certain provisions of that executive order on hold. The administration appealed that to the First Circuit. In both cases, we've hit milestones in the cases. In the district court, in the trial case, the court denied the administration's motion to dismiss. And so the case now moves forward generally into a discovery phase, in which the parties will exchange facts about the different allegations on an as-needed basis. It will likely move forward into summary judgment, which is both sides writing why legally and under the facts they should prevail in the case. The milestone in the First Circuit is that the Department of Justice sought to file its brief, but immediately before doing so, asked for a stay of the proceedings. And I'll add, the Department of Justice asked for a stay of proceedings in the district court too, because of the current lapse in funding for the federal government. DOJ is not able to pay to maintain its current caseload for civil cases. I am not an expert in what DOJ is doing right now, but they have represented to both the Federal District Court of Massachusetts and the First Circuit that because of the current lapse in funding, they are not able to work on the cases as they normally would. And so they've asked for a pause in the proceedings, and that pause has been granted. Both cases are essentially suspended for now while the government is shut down. Both cases should reactivate upon the lapse in funding disappearing, there being funding to the DOJ. So it remains to be seen what will happen to those cases over the next month. I'll hopefully have an update for you by the next meeting. The last case on the list is Bryson et al. V. Moore et al. This is the lawsuit by unaffiliated voters under the state constitution asserting their right to participate in primary elections. The case actually had a hearing this past Monday in the Circuit Court for Anne Arundel County. The OAG filed a motion to dismiss on behalf of the defendants, who are the governor, the state administrator of elections, and the chair of the State Board of Elections, arguing that this issue has been decided by the Supreme Court of Maryland and decided in the state's favor, that the Supreme Court has held there is no right for a voter unaffiliated with a party to participate in that party's primary election. The court heard argument on the matter. We went to court, we argued our sides of the case, myself on behalf of the defendants, plaintiffs' counsel on behalf of the plaintiffs. The court denied the motion as far as a standing issue, but on the merits, on the substance of the case, said it would take it under advisement and issue a written opinion ruling on the case sometime in the near future. So at this point, we're just waiting on the court's ruling. And with that, I'll submit the Attorney General's report.
Thank you very much, Dan. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none, we are moving along in the agenda with Title 13 late fee waiver request. Alan, please.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. It's pretty short this month for a change. For Title 13, I have 1 approval and 3 denials, and I'm glad to take any questions about those.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Has everyone reviewed the Title 13 waiver request? All right, hearing no
Yes, sir.
questions. Okay, great.
No,
Here-
no, sir. I have no
Okay,
questions. I did read.
awesome. Hearing no questions, the chair is open to a motion to accept the recommendation from staff.
We accept the.
So move. Member Butler, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been properly seconded by Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It's so moved unanimously. Thank you very much. We accept the recommendation. Moving on to number 7, Title 14 on the agenda, Title 14 late fee waiver.
Well, thank you. So we have 6 approvals and 6 denials for Title 14. And again, if I can answer any questions you might have, let me know.
To be sure, thank you very much, Alan. Have all the members received, noticed, and reviewed the Title 14 request? Right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I do have a question. Under one of the denials, the mahogany,
Yes.
they're being denied because they were 1 day late in filing?
Yes, they have had compliance issues previously,
Mm-hmm.
and we take that into consideration.
Okay. I read it and I thought, 1 day late? Gosh. Okay, but thank you. That was my only question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Member Jackson Stanley. All right, and the chair is open to a motion to accept the staff recommendations.
And with
So
that,
moved.
Mr. Chair, I move
Yeah.
that we accept the staff recommendations for Title 14.
So moved. Is there a second? Probably seconded by Member Butler. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much, Alan.
Yeah.
Wow,
you.
very short this week.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Moving on to number 8, we have quite a few proposed regulations. It looks like Melissa Dorsey will be giving us an update and on each of them. And prior to us, we would like to, of course, get a breakdown of each one of the proposed regs. We may vote in lump with regards to C on the agenda, C through F. If you guys are open to it, those are all 07 election day activities. And then looking at G and H as canvassing, and then each of the others individually. They represent different sections. If that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Assistant Deputy?
Thanks. So Chair Summers, would you like for me to go through them in that order? They're a little bit different in the document, but I'm happy to do A and B together.
Yes.
If you bear with me as I get them, and then we can do the other ones together if that works for you.
Yes.
Okay, so A and B are on the first page of the public document, the document that you guys have. A is 33020305. And that changes the election judge payment regulation to conform with House Bill 586 that was enacted last term to require that the election judge serve on election day in order to be compensated for training. And for 33, do you want to do that one and then move forward?
Yes. So
Okay,
are there
got
any
it.
questions? Thank you for that.
Sure, sorry about that.
No problem. No problem. Just wanted to make sure the members, if they had any questions specific to this regulation, this proposed regulation. All right, hearing no questions, have all of the members reviewed the regulation? All right, here, thank you very much for that. The chair is open for a motion to accept the proposed regulation. It has been properly moved by Member Jackson Stanley. Is there a second? Been properly seconded by Member Butler. All those in favor, please indicate by raising their hand. It has been unanimously approved by the members of the board to accept the proposed regulations from staff for 33.02.05 election judge. Thank you very much, Melissa.
So 3304, 02, 02, through 04, and 06, all are address confidentiality. And I'll just kind of give a high level explanation of them. And then if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. So we have 3 buckets of confidential voters as it stands now. We have the SBE designate or LBE designated confidential voters. We have judges that are designated confidential under I believe it's Wilkinson Act that passed in 2024. And then we have address confidentiality confidential voters who are designated as confidential by the Secretary of State. So each 3 of those buckets are treated slightly differently based on what the law requires. We had to recently make a change to encompass the Wilkinson Act, which is the judge's confidentiality. And that is what spurred the change of these regulations. It also clarified some already existing practices for address confidentiality participants in terms of board not needing board approval because they have already been approved by the Secretary of State. The same goes for judges. They have already been approved by the AOC, and so they are exempted from the normal process. And the rest of the regulatory changes, I believe, again, they just carve out that exception for those 2 buckets of confidential voters. The confidential voters that this board deals with and the LBEs deal with, they will stay exactly the same as they are now.
And I just want to clarify too, when she says judges, those are the regular judges, not election judges that we just did with the pay.
These are judges over the courts.
Yes.
And thank you. And so this also provides that the SBE board does not usurpate the Secretary of State's authority. All right. Thank you. With that being said, are there any questions? All right. Hearing no questions, did all the board members receive notice of 33.04.02.02.04 and 06? All right. Seeing that there are no objections, the chair is open to receive a motion. Member Butler, so moved and properly seconded by by Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous consent by the board members that we approve the proposed regulation presented by staff. Thank you for 33.04.02.02 and 06.
Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to jump around a little bit in these because there's a lot of meat in the 07 regulations.
Yes.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to start with 3307-1102, which is going to be on your page 2 of your document. And that's compensation of election judges. This is the easiest one. This is just to mimic the law that was passed in 2025, same House Bill 586, which says that student election judges can either get credit or they can get money. They can't get both. And so that's the easy one. The next one that I'm going to move to is going to be F, which is toward the end of the document. And that is where we start the language assistance regulations. I apologize, I didn't number these pages, so forgive me. 3307 chapter 12. The entire chapter 12 is going to be new regulations. And essentially the General Assembly passed a new bill that requires that the state and local boards implement language assistance at the polling place. And these regulations mirror that law and then set the timing for the things that are required not only from this board, but from the local boards in terms of making the determination for where language assistance is required, and then getting some standardized documents and materials to the local boards to use. For your reference, it was House Bill 983, again, last term. And again, happy to answer any questions if you guys have any specific questions about the regs. I know that there's a lot in this one.
I just have,
Yeah, go ahead.
thank you. Just a question. If the legislature has created a statute that dictates the conduct in this area, why do we need a regulation?
So they tell us to do a lot of things, but not without a lot of details. So this just fleshes
Okay.
out the details. So when the board will make the determination, you guys will need to make the determination, and we will obviously provide the information to you as to what meets the legislatively set standard. And when we will provide that information to the local board, and then when the local boards, if they need to provide information back to us. A lot of it, again, is just standardizing to make sure that from county to county, it's the same, filling in some blanks that are more administrative than they are policy.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Sure.
and Member Butler? Yes.
And basically, they can use cell phones to do a lot of this, so it's not going to be very costly for the counties, correct?
Absolutely. So that was a decision by the General Assembly, and that's actually your next regulation. But you beat me to the punch. So yes, it is. It's a language line that they already have access to. They've had access to it for the last 2 election cycles at least. And you can use a cell phone to call and get a translator. And the local boards who this board designates as having met that 2% threshold will now have to have that capability in the polling place. And to your point, Member Butler, that is regulation, let's see if I can find it, 33070402, which is C, and it carves out an exception in the ban to cell phone use for language assistance usage.
Thank you.
And
And-
to Member Shalek's question, Vice Chair's question, also, it's not just House Bill 983. It was also Senate Bill 685. So we just want to make sure that both chambers get the proper credit on passing this election assistance program.
All right. If there's nothing more on that, we still have 3307.07.01 through.
You're right, sorry.
activities. So
Last
no
one.
problem. Challenges and watchers, but
Um,
also wanted to highlight the fact that standardization, I believe, speaks to the efforts of the board, one in particular board member, Butler, who brought up the idea of standardization also. So thank you very much for that.
Sure. So
Sure.
the next regulation is another, it looks large in the amount of text there. It's because it's an existing regulation that we've made some just sporadic changes through. And that is 3307070103. And I believe that one is at the end of your document. And the regulations, the revisions are basically to provide some clarification that our local boards have been asking for in terms of challengers and watchers. They also clean up and I think codify some existing practices on certificates for challengers and watchers. And then let's see, they provide clear wording for the permissive and prohibited activities and remove the text that describes the transmission of modem. We don't do that on election day. So again, a lot of these are cleanup. And then the final thing that they do is they define a group of registered voters who may be challengers and watchers. And And again, happy to answer any questions or most likely defer to Jared because this is his area of expertise. But you can try either one of us.
All right, the chair recognizes Member Butler with a question.
I can't find it again. I kind of talked to Jared about this yesterday. There's a spot in here where it says that they have to apply at least 24 hours before the first day of early voting, correct? For the watcher certificates.
Yes, they would give a list of individuals. So the certificate, it is the certificate? Trying to pull up the exact reg there for you.
I think it's D4.
It's 01D4.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Okay,
So, right. So one business day, the designated, they're just going to provide the election director with a copy of the completed certificates so that they then know who these designated individuals are and a list of all the polling places that they will be attending. And there is provisions allowing them to substitute it out at the day of the election. So this is just kind of like giving the board some advance notice, and it's one business day before the start of early voting, which is when you would start having challengers and watchers present.
Okay, so my question is, if somebody wants to, as things change through early voting or whatever, somebody wants to have somebody for election day or whatever, and they didn't realize that before early voting that they want to have a challenger and watcher, is there a position where they can, send this to the director so that they can? I'm kind of tough on this. I don't like the timeline of cutting it off at just a day before. I think that sometimes people don't know, and I brought this up, like when I was running, I had no idea that they even had those, and then you see other people using them, and they made a decision later on that they want to put a challenger and watcher in. I understand if we're trying to get everybody in early and we're trying to help, put some videos out there for education for them and whatever, but I think there needs to be a way where somebody can add it in after the first day if they find that they need that.
This is one from the local boards, their suggestion on this one here. I think that, with the idea of the substitutions out there and some of our candidate forums and education portions of this, I would recommend that we move forward with this as written with one business day to see if we get back any sort of pushback. And we'll make sure that these regulations go to the state parties as well as to the central committees so they can then look at it as well, because they're the ones that usually have a lot of the information with challengers and watchers. And at the end too, this is for accredited challengers and watchers. So it's just kind of making sure that they're they're present. If you look at 5, the failure to submit the required documents to the election may result in the non-accreditation of the challenger and watcher. There is non-accredited challengers and watchers as well.
Okay. All right, because I think it's a good idea. I'm glad that we're educating people on both sides because we had some issues with that before, and I'm happy to see that. But I just want to make sure that if somebody needs to do that, they have the ability to come, if they've realized this after, before, whatever. So we'll send it out and see what they say, see what the central committee say, and maybe some of the candidates too. I'm glad for the education. I think that's really good. But I think some people they don't know about that, and maybe change, and we're educating them a lot better, which is excellent for me. Okay, so we'll leave it now, and then we'll see what the public has to say. Okay. Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions regarding the statutes for election building evidence? All right, thank you, Melissa, for that. We are looking to take up members, the collective recommendations, proposed regulations for 33.07, 104, 102, 33.07, 7.3, 33.07, 0.11, 0.02, compensation judges, 33.07, election activities and Legal assistance program. Is there a motion to accept the proposed regs? Staff. Is so moved. Thank you, thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a proper second? It's
Second.
been properly seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. Unanimous. Thank you very much, Melissa. And now they have been approved unanimously. Now moving on to, if I can, suggest it's 33.08 to 33.08.
Yes,
Oh,
we
so
have
gotcha.
two here, I think G and
Yes.
H. And they mirror one another. So the first one is swearing in of the board. The second one is swearing in of the board attorney. And this is for the local board of canvassers. Right now it doesn't work. It's broken, this reg by early canvas. So this this moves the swearing in date back to before early canvas as opposed to election day. And it also sets an expiration date, which it doesn't currently have, and it causes some confusion. So I think that's pretty much the crux of both of them. And again, happy to answer questions about that.
Thank you. Member Butler.
I just want to make a comment. I think it's a good thing that we're stopping it at a certain point, because we would go for months getting ballots in that came in that were, late, and we couldn't count them when we had to keep the board of canvassers open month after month and open the meeting and, do all that stuff. I think it's smart to end it after a certain number of days. Good job.
And I can't take credit. It was Katie's idea, and you beat me to the punch because that's coming in the next reg as well. So
Thank you very much. All right, the chair is open for a motion to accept the proposed regulations presented by staff, Member Jackson Stanley. So moved. Is there a second? It's been properly seconded by Member Butler. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous consent. So moved. Proposed regulations are approved for 33.8, 2, 33.8. All right.
And so Member Butler teed up the next one, which is basically to bring full circle what she mentioned, which is the issue that what do you do with a ballot that comes back in after the Board of Canvassers has adjourned? And this just tells the local boards to do what we've been telling them to do all along, but codifies that in a regulation, which is don't do anything with it. You don't have to reconvene your board. You don't have to present it to the board. You store it separately and securely from the ballots that were counted, and it does not need to be a formal rejection by the Board of Canvassers.
And for the record, this is 33.6.
Oh, yes,
No
sorry
problem.
about that.
It's okay. For everyone's awareness. And are there any questions?
No.
Hearing none, the chair's open to a motion to approve for approval of the regulations. It has been moved by Vice Chair. Is there a second? It's been properly seconded by Member Butler. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous. They approved. Thank you very much for consenting to the staff's recommendation to propose regulations 33.16.05.3.
The next one is another broken regulation. That's 3321-0304. Senate Bill 262 broke this regulation in 2025 when they changed the special election mail-in ballot deadline for mailing. This changes our regulation from 14 days to 30 days to line it up with the new legislation.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, the chair is open for a motion to approve provision or proposed regulation. It has been properly moved. Member Butler, is there a second? Been properly seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous consent of the board to approve 33.11.3 108. Right. And now on to K, our last. Oh, and I'm sorry, we just approved 33.01.
You're right. I skipped one.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And
I
I
jumped
was trying to
ahead
go through it myself
That was
here.
special election.
I was
No,
like,
got
wait a
it.
second
got
here.
it. Yeah,
Right.
I got it.
I was
But thank
frantically
you.
checking because I didn't see
No,
it in
it's
my document, but it's
33.21.
here. I just
Right.
went out of order.
No problem.
So
Thank
30,
you.
backing up one, if you don't mind, 33-16-05-03. Again, fixing a
We already
regulation.
voted for that one. We voted for that one just a
You-
minute ago. We're
did-
on 33.11.03.08.
Okay, so 33-11-03-08
Yes.
was voted on.
No.
No, you presented the
Right.
one out of order by Member Butler's request via provisional ballots, canvassing of ballots, disposition of provisional ballot applications. for
That
30
was
day.
that was in order, right under the state board, the board council.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that was 33-11-03-08.
So that didn't, so that dealt with
So
absentee
that took
ballots,
care
not the
of
provisional.
when
Excuse-
ballots are timely.
Okay, and not the
Yeah.
provisional ballots, canvassing
Right,
ballots,
that's right
disposition.
after that one.
I think I
Right.
read the wrong one into.
Right. 33-11-03. Yeah. Oh,
So okay, so let's back up and vote. We need a motion for 33.11.03.08 for approval.
For the record,
Just
Miss, could Melissa just tell us which one is that again? A little-
Sure, we'll do 33-11-03-08 is when ballots are timely. And that is any ballot that is received after the Board of Canvassers certifies the election. We do not have to do, the local boards don't have to do anything with it except for securely store it. It does not have to be presented to a board for rejection.
That's not the one for the 30 day?
No, that was the one I did. No.
Right, that's the one for the 30 day is 33-16.05.03. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Melissa, which one?
33.16.05.03, provisional ballots, canvassing ballots, disposition, provisional ballot applications, corrects, or it changes from 15 day to 30 day.
No,
That was, maybe I should just go all three. Can I go through all three of the last ones and then that way we clear it up?
Well,
Does that make-
we
does that-
already vote, not really.
We voted.
because we voted, and I'm trying to clarify which one we just voted.
I think the only one that's missing is 33-16-05-03. The disposition of provisional ballot application.
So we did 33.21.03.04.
We did 33-11-03-08. And we did so
And
you did
33-21.
33-21-03-04, which was special elections. So you're missing J.
Correct.
Everything else has been done.
Mr. Chair, I don't usually get headaches, but because we did things out of order, now I'm confused. I thought I was voting on something that you said we
Right.
didn't vote on.
So,
And I had a
yeah.
question about something that
Correct.
was out of order. I'm willing to vote on 33-16-05-03, but I thought we had done it already.
I did
No,
too.
no, that was that we have not done that one at all.
Okay.
So basically, we've done A, which was the election judge training program. B, the inspection and copy of public records and the confidentiality of certain information. We did C, which
Stop.
was
Did we do C?
Yes.
We did do C. I don't remember hearing order and decorum, cell phones, and pager camera discussion. And that might just have been me. My husband came in, so I was distracted. I apologize. So we did do C.
That was with, and the member, that was with the election language assistance program, because that was 3307, and it was a group of everything with 07s.
Right.
We started with the language assistant thing, and then kind of worked our way through all the 07s. We had a little bit of a conversations with the challenger and watchers. The compensation of the election judges was just clarifying it with the law. And the cell phone portion of it was in the conversation with the language assistance program using of cell phones to use the program.
Okay, it was in conversation.
Yes.
And I
So
sort
yes.
of went over my head.
Yeah,
because
sorry.
But
Yeah,
no,
exactly. Right. It kind of jumped around just
we
because
jumped
of
around,
numbers.
and I don't like being confused because I will stop and say, I'm sorry, I have a question. And I have a question regarding language assistance form. I know we voted on it. I was clear on it, I thought. My question is, do we have, I read that the language assistance form has to be ready and sent out a year before the election. Did I read that wrong? Language assistance form?
No,
Ready?
and once this regulation takes place, it most definitely will be. We should have those documents to you, I would hope next month, maybe the month after. But yeah, and then going forward, that will be our deadline.
Okay,
once
so it won't
adopted.
be for this next election. It'll be for the elections going forward.
Correct.
Jared shook his head. Okay, thank you. Good. Just because I'm one of these people, if we have A through K, can we go A through K? Because I really got confused.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Thank you.
And then G and H was voted on because those were the canvassing ones and the responsibilities.
Right, I
We
was clear
just
with that.
did 331103. We skipped J, and then we went to the special election one, and now we're going to conclude with J,
J.
which is 33160503.
Thank you. Sorry.
Jared, just-
Thank you.
Jared, I'm hung up. The one with the extension to 30 days, I got lost on that one.
That's the special election. That are you talking about 33210304, which was
Yes.
so that's moving it in the law. So basically the law moved it back from 14 days so that now if you have a special election, you have to start mailing out mail-in ballots to individuals or vote by mail ballots if it's an all mail election instead of 14 days prior to election day, 30 days prior to election day.
So what I effectively did
Thanks.
is read off the incorrect regulation. I read off for that one, 33.16. So we voted on the 30-day, but the regulation for that is 3321.03.04.
Got it.
Still have
So
J.
with that, right. So with that being said, the chair is open to correct the record. The chair is open to a motion to accept proposed regulation for 33.21.03.04. So moved by Member Butler. Is there a second? Probably seconded by the vice chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous and approved. All right, now moving on back to J, which is, if I'm correct, 33.16.05.03.
33.16.0503, right? Same thing?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, last one, provisional. And this is a change to the provisional processing regulation, which reflects the law passed in 2025, where if a voter who is affiliated with a party votes the wrong party's ballots, usually, well, up until 2025, you would not count the ballot at all. Under new legislation, you count the nonpartisan Board of Education contest. So we had to change the regulation to reflect that will be counted going forward.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I just wanted to make a quick comment. When I talked to Katie, she was very helpful with that because I guess some people will demand the ballot when they come in. And so you don't want to argue with them. So you just give them the ballot, then you let them vote for the Board of Elections. But it's a good little cleanup. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Butler. Hearing no questions, the chair is open for a motion to accept proposed regulation identified as 33.16.05. So moved by
So
member,
moved.
Vice Chair. Is there a second? Probably second by Member Butler. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous consent. The board approve. Thank you very much, Melissa. Now, moving on to final regs that have gone to public opinion. Or public comment. Now, with that, we are A through K again, and I think per a recommendation from board members, we will take these in order as they are presented on the agenda, and we will vote on them on an individual basis, not lump sum. Now, this could extend, but I think it properly denotes complicitness with the needs of the board to be clear on what we are voting. So, with that being said, A, 33.03.02.01, records management, copies of registration lists. Is that you, Jared, or Melissa that will be giving the provision breakdown?
Melissa, did you want to handle it or did you want me to
Yeah,
handle
I'm
it?
sorry. I'm
Oh, sorry.
switching screens. I didn't print these out. So, yep, I apologize because generally I don't go through the explanations of the final ones. I just share that whether we had gotten copies or not.
That's fine. It may also help with refreshing them for you so that they're clear on what they're voting for.
Yep. Give me
If
one
they
second. I'm
haven't
just
read
pulling them
them
up.
prior to.
So I may have to take a moment and pull the document that we originally had. Forgive me.
Oh, so this one here, while she's doing this, I can move forward with the first one, which is 330302 A, which is records management and copies of the registration list. This is a simple one here. It was the deletion of C in the electoral process, which was to remove the language of that it does not include investigations. And so this now complies with the court rulings that we had. So this is just removing that controversial language now from the regulation.
All right, thank you, Jared. Member Butler.
And this is the one that I questioned about putting something else back in, but for now we're going to take it out and I'm fine with that.
Thank you. And these regs have been through public
Yes.
response. And we are moving these as final. Is there a motion to accept? So moved by Vice Chair. Is there a second? Probably seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. The regulation passes with unanimous consent for final approval for 33.03.02.01. Right. And moving on to B for final approval. This is following public comment for 33.01.08 general provisions election.
Right. So this is right, 33.01.08.01 through 04 general provisions election plan. This is just talking about the new election plan under the bill, which basically how the local boards have to submit what is included in an election plan, which is the polling place plan, the drop box plan, the early voting plan, the analysis. This is all based upon the law, the submission of the plan to the state board, what we would do, and then the approval of it, that I would then review it, make recommendations to the state board on whether to approve it or not. And then finally, the notice of the proposed election plan by the local boards and their contact lists, and that they have to move forward with it. Melissa, do you have anything else?
Yeah, sorry, tag teaming. Thanks, Jared.
Sure.
So that's going to be B through F is that election plan. It's broken out part by part. The first one addresses polling places, then I think the drop boxes, then early voting. And so each one of those implements its own section of that new law.
Thank you very much, Jared and Melissa. I greatly appreciate that. Any questions? Again, these are being moved for final following public comment. Is there a motion to accept the final regulation being proposed 33.01.8.01 through? So move, Member Butler. Is there a second? Been probably second by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It has been approved for final. Unanimous. All right, moving on to C, 33.1.04, absentee ballots definitions, zero provisions, ballot drop box is being presented as a final reg and seeking board approval. Any questions? Any need of clarification? Reminder. Members?
Can Melissa just give us a blurb on this one, Chair?
Same thing as the reg before. So the next three are going to be the same. This is just implementing that election plan as it pertains to ballot drop boxes. There were just some small tweaks that we had to do to the regulation in terms of timing and submission to line it up with the new timing and submission requirements where all three are presented in one package to the board, including that this board will review them.
All right, Member Butler. Oh, I'm sorry. Member Vice Chair, was your
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Member
you.
Butler. We can't hear you. You're on mute. You're still on mute, Member Butler. We can't hear you. Okay,
Did
thank you.
Comment on any of these?
We didn't get any public comments on them now.
So I didn't see
So,
any.
Uneventful.
so to that question, thank you, Member Butler. To that question, Melissa, did we receive any public comment on any of the final
No,
regs
not
that
on
were
any of
proposed?
them. Yep.
Thank you very much. So we're pretty clear on that point. Now, the chair is open for a motion to accept the final regulation for 33.11.01.04. So moved by Vice Chair. Is there a proper second? Probably seconded by Member Butler, not Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Is so moved. Unanimous consent. Thank you very much. Now moving on, members, moving on to D, 33.15.03.01, polling places required plan, final reg, following public comment. There were no public comments as attested to by staff. Now, are there any questions? Not hearing any, the chair is open for a motion to accept the final reg. So moved by Member Butler. Is there a second? It's been properly seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It's so moved. Unanimous consent. Board 33.15.03.01. Moving on to E, 33.15.03.02, polling places, new or changed polling places being presented for final approval of the board. Are there any questions?
Just one blurb on this one, Chair.
Sure.
Yes.
This is the notice provision for the polling place and election plan, basically is the same thing. The legislation has a requirement that the local boards give notice of their changes and then create and provide notice to a list of individuals And anytime the board is going to meet to consider a change to the election plan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. The chair is open for a motion. So move, Member Butler. Is there a second? And probably seconded by the vice chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is approved with unanimous consent. Final regulation 33.15.032. Polling places new or change polling. Now moving on to F 33.17.02.02 early voting, selecting early voting centers. If you would, a slight blurb on that prior to refresh the board members. Melissa or Jen.
Yep. Let me get there. Sorry, bear with me. That is the early voting center portion of the election day polling place plan. And the only thing that changed there was the timing. And again, that it needs to be submitted as a group as part of a polling place plan. So just some cleaning up of deadlines.
Are there any questions? The chair is open for a motion to accept the final regulation. So moved by Member Butler. Is there a second? Probably seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. With unanimous consent, so moved. All right, moving on, and that is for 33.17.02.02. Moving on to G, 33.07.11.03, election day activities, election judges.
This implements, I think, the 2024 General Assembly legislation that minimized paperwork for election judges. So this sets the ceiling for what counties can require from election judges.
Any questions? All right. The chair is open for a motion to accept the final regulation. Member Butler, so moved. Is there a second? Probably seconded by vice chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. With unanimous consent, it has been moved favorably for 33.07.11.03. Now H 33.08.01.05 through 1 canvassing general provisions notice canvas. Any
This change allows for email notification of canvas as opposed to having to be snail mail.
Are there any questions? All right, chair's open for a motion to accept it. So moved by vice chair. Is there a second? Probably seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Unanimous consent for final approval. And the regulation is so moved. And that is for 33.08.01.5. Now I 33.08.01.09 canvassing general provisions. Notice voting system testing.
This cleans up some weird wording that was in the regulation. We test for logic and accuracy, and the regulation didn't reflect that. So this just changes the wording to what it is that we test for in this voting system.
So
Which is
rid of
accuracy.
ambiguity. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Is there any questions? All right, the chair is open for a motion to accept the final reg. So moved by Member Butler. Is there a proper second? Seconded by Member Jackson Stanley. Thank you very much. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is approved with unanimous consent. For final 33.08.01.09. Now moving on to J 33.08.01.13 canvassing general provisions, notice, certification deadlines.
Sure. So under the law, the LBEs are technically required to certify by the 10th day after the election, so that Friday. This creates a framework for the state board to be informed if that's not going to happen and to provide an estimated completion date. As this board will become aware next meeting, it'll be even more important as we move into a risk limiting audit. But this is just laying some foundation for us to get there and to make sure that SBE knows when we're going to get certifications from the local boards.
Excellent. Any questions? All right, chair's open for a motion to accept or approve. So moved. Is there a second? Properly seconded by the vice chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. All right, it is with unanimous consent. Final reg is approved for 33.08.01.13. Thank you very much. And our final regulation seeking board approval is 33.07.1.03, election day activities, election judges. It looks like we have that on here twice. So we will strike K because it looks like we voted on this one at G. I'm not correct.
I think you're right because I am at the end of my document.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. So that is a typo in the agenda. Thank you all. And thank you, Member Jackson Stanley, for having us slow down. That is.
I'm sorry, Melissa.
No. Don't apologize.
No, never
No,
apologize. I'm
don't
happy to
apologize
talk
for
about,
that.
yeah, happy to
That
talk about
was-
regs any day. I'm really fun at parties.
And I don't think you're the only one. I don't think you're the only one. I'm pretty sure the viewers are very accepting and appreciative of your advocacy. So now moving on to number 10 in the agenda, old business. And under that old business is our board bylaw discussion. Member Butler, yes. You're on mute.
I do have a little old business to discuss.
Okay. It is your floor.
Okay, I keep bringing up our voter registration list. And I've been doing that since before we started making the national news on how our list is not updated or that we're being investigated by the Department of Justice, etc. I do have, Jake and I thought about asking for a task force to work on this issue, but we decided that wouldn't be necessary. But I think maybe a committee of some sort is kind of overdue. I think we have a problem with the MVA voter registration and their protocols. The MVA personnel are not trained in voter registration, and they sign anybody up and then they send it to us to root through and determine if these voters should actually be registered. I think we have a problem vetting voter registration applicants as to whether they are citizens of the United States or even residents of Maryland or qualified to vote in our state. Our job on this board is to make sure that we're complying with federal and state law, and I'm struggling to see that when it comes to this list. What I have seen are pages of excuses and referrals back to Maryland state legislative processes to get around the real issues. If we need to go to our legislators to fix this problem, then I think that needs to be done. In some cases, taking nearly 5 years to remove voters from the list is too long. Attestation is no longer good enough to be used to put someone on our voter rolls. That's supposed to include a sworn statement of citizenship and data matching with state and federal agencies. Always erring on the side of caution is disenfranchising our legal voters. Every time we enfranchise a non-citizen or a non-resident voter, we disenfranchise a legal citizen of the state of Maryland and their voting rights. Every time we find a voter that shouldn't be registered and it turns out that they voted, are we going to send a letter to a voter on the opposite party and explain to them that their vote was disenfranchised because we were unable to do our job and keep our rolls clean? The press would have a heyday with that one. But maybe that would light a fire under us to keep a better voter list. How many times now have we made the national news, and we did again this month, for having incorrect people on our voter rolls or double voters from other states? I'm asking for some kind of committee or some sort of group to help sort out and fix these problems because they've been going on for many, many years. Jim and I both have, worked in the local boards, and there are issues here. There also seems to be a real disconnect between attesting at the MVA that you're a citizen of the United States and actually being a citizen of the United States. If we're having a conflict with our duty to the citizens and the legislation that we have, then maybe we need to sit down with the legislators and find a way to fix this. Our responsibility is to the legal citizen voters of this state, and we seem to be failing them. It isn't the way to run the Board of Elections, and I hate to keep having all this stuff come up in the news and we end up there and we haven't fixed the problem.
I,
So
I,
that-
I appreciate, I appreciate your sentiments. Member, Shalek, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Diane raises some good points. You know, I was president at Montgomery County's board for 6 years and here for at least a year now. And it seems like the main criticism I've always gotten, both in the local board and here, is the maintenance of our list. You know, we have 4.3 million voters, so having a perfect list is certainly more than a difficult challenge. But Diane raises the question. You know, I'm personally tired of all the criticism and attacks on our voting list, and it's not anybody's fault. The list is just a huge list, and Jared has a very small amount of personnel here. We're not a big agency, and to manage a 4.3 million list is a huge task, and it's been going on for years. So her suggestion to maybe put together a task force or a multi-member group on both sides of the aisle, bringing in maybe some of the critics that we have, I would defer on that. But putting together a team to really attack this, because it's enough already. You know, we run elections, we do the best we can. We have a limited bunch of people here, and we should really try and do something to get this criticism and difficulties with the voting list off our plate, finally. And Diane raises a good point. Maybe it's time to put together a team or a task force or whatever you want to call it, and just attack this problem and get it done with. And I would defer to the board for their suggestions. I think it's time. I know Jared more than anybody has got to be tired of this. You're tired of it, Mr. Chair, and I think it would enhance the public's faith in what we're doing to expand our effort and just knock this thing out and do the best we can to clean up our list. So I defer to the board in terms of how to implement this, but I think it's time to do it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Member Jackson Stam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Member Butler, for bringing this up again, because it is an issue that crosses the geography of the state of Maryland. I have just statements. I do have a couple of questions, but I'll save that for the end. I've heard anecdotes about these conflicts, you know, non-members, dead people, all kinds of stories, going on. What are the statistics that show if we have 4-point-something million voters, how many have we found or has been identified as being non-voters? And second statement, if we develop a task force, who would determine who serves on that task force, how large, and how soon to implement it? We have an election coming up in a little bit more than a year, so a task force to address such a mammoth problem seems a little daunting, in my opinion. I do like the idea that Member Butler presented of taking it back to the legislators. The legislators created the system of MVA doing the voter registration. I was working at social services. I was a supervisor of social workers, and we worked with MVA on getting people registered to vote. Taking it back to the legislators, I think I do agree with you on that. It's bigger than this small group of people and even our staff. My only question is, if this has been an issue for many, many years, what are the statistics that show that we have let's round it down to 4 million voters, and of the 4 million voters, we have discovered there are 10% of those voters that are not eligible to vote in the state of Maryland. Where do I find those numbers? That's
And
an open
I believe
question.
that's a
That's me, or
question.
is that
Yeah,
the-
I would
that's a
think Jared would be
question
the
to
best person, but
SBA.
if the members, I know Member Butler has been beating this drum for a while since I've been on the board, so I hope she has some answer, but I think Jared, I would rather hear it from you, just up front.
So I guess the thing is, we follow all federal and state laws. We're compliant with it, with everything here. And the processes that are in place is because we're talking about a constitutional right, the right to vote. This is making sure that everyone has the ability to choose and I would say mold the future of the state and the country. And this is not something where it's like, a supermarket, rewards program here. So when we have to be 100% certain when we do any of our list maintenance. And this is why it takes a process and not something where we just automatically remove someone. Because when we remove someone from the list, you're disenfranchising that person. And it's against the law for us to disenfranchise individuals incorrectly. So we have to be 100% certain. And, this is the General Assembly, it's the intent of the General Assembly to allow that we want to make sure that we're 100% certain on removal rather than 99, 85%. And the attestation is one of the processes because every time you put in any sort of requirements, it creates barriers to that constitutional right. And those barriers can disenfranchise individuals. The General Assembly, it's their intent, which is the state of Maryland, and which we have implemented, they wanted to enfranchise as many individuals as possible. So we follow and we're in compliance with Maryland and federal laws in making sure our lists are up to date. We do a lot of list maintenance procedures, of which we're a member of ERIC, which is Electronic Registration Information Center. So we have cross checks not only with data in our state, but also with our any members there as well to find out if there is double voters or double registrations. We also have internally started the audit division, which I've mentioned before. We have made sure that with our compliances and our evaluations of the election directors, that one of the criterias is making sure that they're up to date on their list maintenance procedures, so that their local boards are aware of that the election director is following all our policies and updating the lists in a timely manner. So these are the things that we're doing here. If we get complaints about double voters or non-citizens, we immediately we review the matters, and then we coordinate with the Office of the State Prosecutor for further investigation and possible enforcement actions. This is our processes that we have done to ensure that the integrity of the system. The system itself is operational, and we have been under attack because of this, but this is the process in which we have implemented. This is like I said, a constitutional right here. And when you have to be 100% certain about this. This is, and one of the things too is that when the General Assembly went to automatic voter registration with motor vehicles, that they knew that there would be potentials for unintended or unintentional voter registrations. It is in the law that provides an affirmative defense against prosecution for those unintended voter registrations. They understood those consequences, and they made accommodations for that. They still made sure that if a person votes illegally, that they can get prosecuted for that matter there. If we have double voters, we make sure we go through those lists as well. And we, again, coordinate with the state prosecutor's office with our double voters list. We take election law crimes and activities very seriously in this office here to ensure confidence in the system.
Just, prior to your statement, Vice Chair, I see you and recognize you. Member Butler's hand has been up. I wasn't sure if Member Jackson Stanley's statement or questions had been completely.
No, my very simple question
Okay.
was, what are the statistics that show
Right.
the double voters that you've referenced? Thank you for the explanation. You did a very good job of making sure I understood where we were. But my simple question was, where's the proof? What are the numbers? If there are 4 million voters, would it be 10% of them have been found to have been double voters or not
Not even
alive or living in Delaware? You know, a number.
It's, I mean, we give over to the state prosecutor. It's not anywhere near that high of a figure.
Mhm.
And we provide them with a list of names, and then they themselves investigate it. As you can see, there's been we've already, did the 2024 election with the state prosecutor's office. There has been no prosecutions of double voting with that. So we make sure that we're sometimes a little over inclusive with that list there, just to make sure. But they go through it and they provide investigations, and they have the right to charge, and they have not charged double voter cases.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. But those are the anecdotes that I hear.
Yeah.
Here on the shore, we get that all the time. So I just
Right.
wanted to know if there were any numbers that could confirm what was said. But thank you, and I apologize for taking up too much of the time with that response of my own. Thank you.
No, thank you, Member Jackson Stanley. And no need to apologize for getting to clarity. And I think those questions are paramount for us to have the facts, to have data, so that we are data driven in our
Yes, sir.
in our deliberations. But we can go anecdotally all day, and I don't want to do that. So thank you very much for that. And I recognize Member Butler's hand first, and then Vice Chair, you will have your moment. Member Butler.
And Vicky, you had some good questions. The problem with that is it's a complicated situation, and there are more than one different things to look at. We always talk about ERIC, but ERIC only includes 50% of the states. So it doesn't include the other 50%. And we use that all the time, but that means 25 of the states are not participating in that. So we don't have those facts and we don't have those numbers because we only have half of the states. So there's a lot of different things in here. And like I said, Jim and I were on these boards for years and years and years. So we have seen different things keep coming down the list. Following federal and state laws, I understand that Maryland has written a lot of laws. Maryland writes laws, and a lot of times we have trouble and we struggle to implement them because they don't always think about what it takes to implement them. So sometimes talking to them and saying, this is hard to implement and this is why, we've had to do that before. And I think that at times we need to do that again. You can't, erring on the side of 100%. At some point, you're disenfranchising regular legal voters. At some point, you're going to do that, because if you're erring on that side, then you're erring against disenfranchising some of the regular voters. And we need to remember that. We have to remember that we're always talking about every voter should be able to get here, but all these voters that signed up and do everything on time and whatever, they deserve that recognition of their vote also, because they've been, registered forever, and they do things like they're supposed to be doing. And, when we put in the same day registration, they forgot about the fact that we have old poll books. We were supposed to have new poll books, but the old poll books are just not safety wise ready to handle a full state list. They're not. And we've talked about that before, and that they were supposed to have been in 6 years ago. They put this legislation through thinking we had that. We don't. And so it left us vulnerable, opening up that system. So there's a lot of things that need to have a conversation. And so there's just certain things. So let me finish here. We also have a very high number of registered voters in our state compared to the number of voters that are legally able to, legal age to vote. We have a very high percentage registered, much higher than a lot of other states. I don't know if that's because we're so good at doing this or because we have a glut of people on the registration that need to be removed. I understand this the thing where when we send these letters out and then it takes 2 sessions after that, and we're trying to be 100% on that, you got 5 years sitting there with somebody that may have moved, may have gone somewhere else. We don't have a follow-up position to do. There should be a way to do better. We've got to do better, and we have to talk about this with the legislators about how we can do that. We can never be 100%. People die all the time. We have to keep up with that. But we keep giving the same answers, but the list still has the same problems, and I don't feel like we're getting there. So
Thank you very much, Member Butler. We greatly appreciate your sentiments and your recommendations to get to a solution. I would hope we don't resolve that exclusion becomes the better. But anyway, Member Shallak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just want to be clear. What I'm saying, my remarks, is that I just think it's time to expand our effort to do whatever we can to clean up these roles. We're very, how many people work here at the board? 30, 40? And, to deal with a 4.3 million person list, I'm just saying I would like to see a new resource to attack this issue, because, for almost 8 or 9 years now, I've been barraged by complaints, criticisms, threats about this list. And I'm tired of it. And I think we all are. Nobody disagrees with what Jared's saying about how we want to run a fair and proper election. Nobody should be disenfranchised. Absolutely. I agree with them 100%. But will we have a handful of people looking at a $4.3 million list, a person list? So all I'm saying is we should consider expanding our effort and knock this problem out. It's a pain in the ass. And we do such a good job, and this clouds us all the time. And I'm sorry for that word, but I meant it. A task force, a large group of people we respect, the chair making appointments with Jared's approval, the board's input, a group together to attack this problem. That's all I'm saying, which is to expand our resource, get a lot of people to dive into this and clean it up so we can move on without the criticism and the complaints that I've gotten for almost 8 or 9 years now, and I'm sure Diane has too. So my criticism is not of how to do it, it's we need more help to do it. That's all I'm saying. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea that I'm criticizing anybody. Let's just attack it in a way that has more strength behind it. That's all I'm saying, Mr. Chair.
We greatly appreciate your sentiments, Vice Chair, and they are felt. And your acceptance and acquiescence to the recommendation from Member Butler is is very reasonable. I don't think any of us here today are objecting to seeking more players for Resolve. I don't think anyone is saying that. I know that there have been many task force. I've sat on one with regards to election reform, election law reform. So that's not impossible and not unreasonable at all. We would like to, consider tasking the state administrator to seek that from the General Assembly, but that is still up to the Speaker and the President of the Senate. But also there are others to consider, but to make the proposal is something that is reasonable. No one is saying or juxtaposed to it, or nor have been. But with regards to the impetus as to why, we need to become a little more aligned with our reason and rationale as to giving the scope for the task force. And that's why I do champion Member Jackson Stanley's question with regards to data, for us to have a finite accounting of what that looks like over a 5-10-year period or electoral period. I think we would have a more reasoned account of what the task force will be tasked with. Okay, and that's the only thing that I would try to add to Member Butler's request, because I'd like for us to collectively come forward with that request with data that drives our calls. Okay,
I just,
that's all I would say.
Chair, if you.
Yeah,
just-
I
I
noticed.
just want
Member
to
Butler-
clarify a point too
Yes.
about that people are getting disenfranchised. You know, in a sense, I have to take, note of that to Board Member Butler's point there. You know, people are voting, and so therefore they're not getting disenfranchised. So I just want to make sure that, that you're saying that an illegal vote disenfranchises a legal vote. That's not the case, because both people are still making their voices heard. That legal vote is still counted. It is still voted. That person's voice is heard. So they're not being disenfranchised. Disenfranchised is when you are being basically they're not getting the right to vote. So I just want to make that point there, that this is the process here, and the process for, with addresses and everything, we follow federal and state laws in compliance with it, and that's why it's a long, detailed process, because it is a right to vote. And we are basically at that point there, when you're removing that person from the rolls, that is, they're no longer able to cast a ballot. They're no longer able to, make their voices heard in the state of Maryland. So
you.
that's why it has to be very, very precise and very, very accurate. And as with the data there, the state prosecutor's office and our office we work in tandem with each other. And the state prosecutor's office usually makes a lot of press releases about it. And you would have been well aware of if there was a significant number of prosecutions for, in this field.
Thank you very much for that. Member Butler, I see your hand up.
We have provisional voting. Provisional voting is there if there's an issue that a person can go and provisional vote. But also my other point was, and I forgot to bring it up earlier, with mail-in voting, when I did a whole presentation on this many years ago when Colorado did their original mail-in voting. They set it all up. It took like 8 years to get it all set up, and they set up the proper machinery. They put it in the budget. They bought the right machines. They had everyone do a new voter registration with a signature, and then they had the signature match, and they had the machines that could do it, and then they trained their judges. They did a really good job of doing that. And then, of course, they didn't keep their list clean, and it became a problem. But they did a very good job. A lot of our voting by mail was put in because of COVID. It was put in emergency legislation, and then it was rolled over. And there are still issues with some of it that they're not as safe as they should be. And there are issues there that should have been addressed, and they weren't, because it just got in, and then everybody moves on. And it was very hard on the boards when we had to do, now we're doing 3 different ways of voting: regular voting, early voting, and the mail-in voting. It's like 3 entire different elections. And it's hard on the groups. It's hard on the staff at all of the counties, et cetera, the LBs. But there are things there that could have been cleaned up, and they weren't. And there's just things that we could do, but it's going to take somebody taking a look at it. And I'd like to do that. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Butler. Greatly appreciated your comments. Moving forward on to number 11, board bylaws discussion. Now I know that in reading the suggested update, I think this might be something we can discuss, but also I'd like to present it I think it's Member Butler to present it for discussion, but hope that we can move on, if we choose to move on, the date once we have a full board, opposed to just to obligate a member to a bylaw decision at this time might not be the most prudent act, but it's something up for consideration. But Member Butler, I think you have the floor to present the board bylaw update. You are recommended.
Okay, Jared put it exactly what we needed. It just, and must include one member of the minority party. That was the update.
Right.
And so
It must
can't get the-
include one member of the minority party with regards to what?
for the quorum.
Right, which we currently have. The quorum is 5 or 4, depending on the the whether open or closed. But I'm not understanding whether we are. So I guess I would have to ask that our AG look at that to see whether that provision could bind the board to be effective in doing its work, despite regardless of who is in the majority. So I'd like for the AG to take a look. I don't need Dan to comment at this time. And would like for us to come back when we have a full board to put this forward, if you don't mind, just for prudence. But I hear you. Don't think we have operated in ambiguity or along party lines in conducting the state board of elections business on behalf of the state and citizens. But it's worth the conversation to absolve your concern. Okay. With that, if you don't mind, moving on to new business. Thank you so very much. And that provision, I think, Dan, Jared, you have to share with the AG for their purview. All right. Thank you very much. Any new business? All right. Hearing none.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Member
that's okay.
Jackson Stanley.
I was slow. Disclosure of campaign contributions.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet, but all right.
I
I was
didn't
just
see
looking.
new business.
It's
I
the next one.
apologize.
No problem. I
I'm
was
not
just
on my game
holding.
today. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're very much on your game today. You're ready to move things along. All
Thank
right.
you. Reminds me of being mayor. It's like, okay, we're got a schedule here. I apologize.
No problem. No problem. We've introduced some things here that had not been on the agenda. But also, are there any, to your point, since there is no new business to bring forward to the board, is there any contribution disclosures? All right, Member Jackson Stanley, and then then Vice Chair.
Yes, referring back to my years as being a mayor, I had an intern who now has decided to run for District 12A. So I made a financial contribution to his campaign. It's not in my district, but he was one of my interns, so I have to support the young people. District 12A, it's believe it's Howard County.
Thank you
Okay.
very much for that disclosure. Member Shallot, Vice Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yeah, recently I attended the annual convention of the Montgomery County Republican Party, and I bought a ticket to that convention.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Both of you. All right. Now, there will be a, next meeting.
So the next meeting, if we went according to the calendar, would be
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, the 27th.
No.
And by the way, just to let you know that this is also going to be a lot of election plans coming in. So I didn't know if you wanted to try to do 2 in December, early December, because then in December, the meeting would fall on Christmas Day. So I didn't know if you wanted to try to do like the 4th and the 11th or the 4th and the 18th to kind of get through the election plans so that we would have, so that one meeting wouldn't be a very long meeting for you to go through all 24 counties, early voting sites, go through all the plans so we can break them up accordingly.
I like that recommendation. Board members, what are your thoughts? Yes, Member Butler.
When will the plans start coming in?
They're coming in November because they're due 7 months beforehand, and then we would then review them. So they're coming in. Some of them already started coming in, and they're gonna all come in by November 24th. And then we'll have some time to put together the presentations for you and review it.
So it wouldn't behoove us to do a meeting maybe on the 20th and get rid of some of them and then move to the next early in
Right,
December?
yeah, no. So yeah, it'd be mostly in December. So I think that maybe like if you want like the 11th and the 18th are probably the two best. So that gives us some time beforehand, gives us to prepare and then send it to you ahead of time. And then you can look at it and and then basically we can have it broken up in the two meetings accordingly. And then if there's any rejections, then they would have time, and it wouldn't necessarily conflict with any of the holidays, and that they would have time then to send back new plans after that.
Darren, how much difference in time is there between, in your view, two meetings or one meeting? I mean, is there a huge difference rather than having
meetings for election plans here, is Vice Chair. They can go fast, they can go long, because you more than know about meetings and locations and site selections and having arguments about facilities at those things there. So you can understand. I was just trying to. I'm happy to do it in one, but it just could be a marathon session then. But that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, as in the past, having at least two, I mean, because there's going to be a lot of data, a lot of information coming in. And I think, to Jared's point, having to maybe the 4th and the 18th, giving a week in between to review and to collect that information for us to be prepared on the 18th to possibly do a marathon, but also get quite a bit done on the 4th, or a heads up as to what's coming, and then to be able to review all that comes in, be very helpful. So to see where we
nothing in
are.
November then, correct, Mr. Chair?
Right.
Right.
That's what's being recommended, which I think would be healthy.
Would the 8th and the 18th work?
Let me see.
The 8th of December.
Monday, the 8th?
Yeah, and the 18th? For 2
Well,
days?
Monday's not good for me, but I hear what you're saying, selecting another day that's outside of statute.
What about the
Good work.
4th? What about the 4th and the 18th?
I like the 4th.
Since we're not meeting in November, pushing it up early in December
Exactly.
would keep us not too far off the pace.
Okay.
And they're both Thursdays. Mondays are not good for me either. So
I can do that.
I have a long trial schedule on the 18th. I'm good on the 4th. The 18th is
Alright.
really bad for me.
So 4th and 11th.
I can do that.
That
I
works
can
for
do
me.
that.
All right, so we will be taxing the SBE to get us all up to snuff and up to speed with getting the information out, so that we are ready to go on the 11th for all finals. If final approvals for election plans.
Would it be
And-
December? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if it's gonna be the 4th and the 11th of December, also at 2:00.
How does everyone feel about 2:00 window? We're good with 2:00?
Okay with me, yeah.
All right, we'll keep it at 2.
Okay.
Thank you guys. for your
Both days, the 4th
flexibility.
and the 11th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. Thank you also very much for your due diligence. We will have a closed session, so the chair is open. to accept the motion to close the open session. Adjourn. It's so moved. Is there a proper second? It's been properly seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. All right, we are adjourned. We will not be returning. We are moving into closed session to discuss the consult with staff, counsel to obtain legal advice, and consult with other individuals about pending or potential litigation. And so with that,
Do we have a separate
are-
link, Mr. Chair? Do we have a separate link
yes,
for
we
that?
do. It will be emailed to you. It should be in your email. So
Okay,
this closed session is under statutory authority to close this meeting under general provision, article section 3-305B. All right, now, is there a motion to move to close session? So moved. Is there a proper second? Been properly seconded by Member Butler, motioned by Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising their hand. All right, we are moving to closed session. We need a transition of, can we come back at 4:40? Just give us 7 minutes.